We've all heard of haunted houses or cursed objects. These are the classic paranormal states, something present for a tortured soul or evil entity to attach itself to. But what about a haunted place? America is home to a town that many claim is the most haunted place in the entire country, if not the world. The town of Gettysburg was the location of a bloody Civil War battle that claimed many lives, but many of those who died there may not have moved on. Instead, their spirits still walk the town. But just how haunted is Gettysburg? Come with us as we explore the ghostly hauntings of this seemingly ordinary American town. We couldn't talk about this haunted place without mentioning the Battle of Gettysburg itself. After all, it's the largest battle that ever took place on American soil. Over just 3 days, from July 1st to July 3rd, 1863, around 51,000 people became casualties in this gruesome clash between the Confederate and Union armies. It was the turning point of the Civil War and led to the America we know today. But with so many violent deaths taking place there, it's not surprising that many of the soldiers who died in the battle are said to still walk the land, trapped forever in the heart of the Civil War. But just how haunted is Gettysburg really? Everyone from residents to tourists who never expected to spot ghostly apparitions will tell you that the spirits of soldiers can be found all over the town. You may see something paranormal around almost any corner in the city, but some places are more haunted than others. Perhaps the most significant paranormal place in the whole town isn't a building at all. Gettysburg National Military Park is known for its incredible amount of sightings by locals and visitors alike. Officially, the National Park Service has said that they have no stance on the existence of ghosts. However, even if they don't want to acknowledge that their land may be haunted, the park rangers and visitors have very different stories to tell. The military park, as the name suggests, is the site of the battlefield where many of the casualties took place. There have been countless sightings here, and people even claim to have captured footage of the Gettysburg ghost soldiers in these fields. Sometimes it's ghost hunters claiming to have caught the ghosts on video, but other times, unsuspecting tourists have looked back at their holiday photos and found some disturbing anomalies. It is also the site of Iverson's Pits, a spot which has the oldest reports of hauntings in the entire town, dating back to not long after the battle ended. The pits have a horrifying history. 900 men were ordered to advance in lines of battle on that spot by North Carolina's Brigadier General Alfred Iverson. However, Iverson had not sent out an advance line to check his men would be safe. Right next to the brigade was a low stone wall where a group of soldiers were hiding, waiting to ambush them. The 900 soldiers were shot at almost point-blank range by the ambush, falling to the ground in their battle rows, while Iverson himself remained safely behind them. The few who survived ran for safety, leaving their dead and dying comrades behind. Trenches were hastily dug at the spot to serve as makeshift graves, and the soldiers were buried almost where they'd fallen. As the graves settled, they formed pits in the ground, which showed where the trenches had been. These became known as Iverson's Pits, and it's well known around town that farmhands refuse to visit the spot after sunset. But this isn't the only site that should be avoided if you don't want to see ghosts marching into battle. Many people who walk through the fields report terrifying phenomena. It's said you can hear horses' hooves galloping into battle, the startling shouts of orders to the troops, and blood-curdling cries and groaning of wounded soldiers. It's as though the battle will continue on that land forever, and the souls of the soldiers are doomed to repeat their gruesome deaths that took place there for the rest of eternity. But they're not alone. Where there's a war, the battlefield isn't the only place where apparitions of soldiers from the past continue to patrol. One of these could be found inside Gettysburg College. During the war, the building was quickly converted into a hospital and, of course, a morgue for soldiers, and it's said that the horrors that took place there can still be seen today. Reportedly, the elevator which already existed at the time of the battle will sometimes mysteriously bypass the first floor on its way down. and instead open into the basement. When this happens, witnesses claim you'll look out onto a paranormal manifestation of the hospital that was once there, and be forced to watch as people die and scream in agony, while crude amputations and failing operations are performed on fully conscious soldiers. Eventually, the doors will close again, and the elevator will take you back up to the first floor. As if that wasn't enough horror for one building, it's said that the dormitory rooms near the battlefield are haunted too. One girl reported waking up one night because she could feel something repeatedly brushing against her feet. When she looked up, she saw 3 dark silhouettes of men standing at the foot of her bed, shining lights onto her before they left the room. When she asked her roommates if anything strange had happened the next day, they both said they'd felt someone put their arms around them, but they had been too scared to open their eyes. Many more have reported seeing a figure standing watch in a cupola that overlooks the campus. These are just some of the countless paranormal sightings around the college. With casualties from the war so high, other buildings in town were converted into makeshift hospitals during the battle. Another is the famous Gettysburg orphanage. It was once a private home before its cold and dark cellar was used to store bodies and dying soldiers. Some may have survived emergency surgeries performed there, but with most being operated on without any anesthetic, almost all would have died. Following the battle, the house was again converted, this time into the infamous Gettysburg orphanage. Of course, orphans are often a sad reality in the aftermath of war, but the orphans' lives wouldn't improve here. When a woman named Rosa J. Carmichael took on the role of headmistress, things took a nightmarish turn. Rumors quickly started to spread around town that Carmichael had created a kind of dungeon in the cellar, where she apparently imprisoned the children, chaining them up and even torturing them when she felt like it. Horrifyingly, it's said she still walks the halls, along with some of the tormented children who died in her care and the soldiers who lost their lives in that very same cellar. The orphanage is claimed to be one of the most haunted spots in the entire town. And if the stories are to be believed, it's not hard to see why. But you don't need to head down into a dark cellar to encounter ghosts in Gettysburg. For those who prefer wide open spaces for the chance to see a ghost, one of the town's most infamous landmarks is found outside. The picture-perfect Sachs-covered bridge may look like something out of a postcard, but it was once the site of an act of horrifying brutality. During the war, troops from both sides made use of the bridge, but it was the Confederates who retreated after they had lost. But they'd already left their mark on the bridge before that moment. Depending on who you ask, there are 2 versions of this story, but both have the same core. 3 Confederate soldiers were hanged there. Either they were deserters, and their Confederate officers hanged them from the bridge, leaving their bodies on display as both retribution for their crimes and as a warning to their fellow soldiers. Others say the men were actually Confederate spies, hanged for the crime of espionage after being found out by Union Army officers. No matter which version of this story is true, visitors who come to the bridge often report seeing the ghosts of these men still haunting the bridge and surrounding areas, as well as other kinds of paranormal activity under its roof. Stand inside, and some say you can hear cannon fire and the sounds of battle outside. Many have also reported the smell of cigar smoke, something that's common at multiple sites around the town, while others have said they felt someone tap them on the shoulder while walking across the bridge alone. It may not look like a classic haunted house, but in a place like Gettysburg, just about anything could be haunted. Those who believe in ghosts agree that they're created when people can't move on. Either this is because of unfinished business or caused by a violent death. If that's true, then nothing is more likely to create a ghost than war. The Battle of Gettysburg was so violent that there's no telling how many spirits still walk the town, trapped forever in the war that ended their lives. There were sudden deaths, suffering, and even the guilt of leaving comrades behind. Will the ghosts of Gettysburg ever be able to move on? Have you visited the town and seen the ghosts for yourself? Let us know in the comments if you think the town really is as haunted as they say. Click here now to watch our previous video on another haunted location. You won't want to miss out on the secrets in this video.